Hello and welcome to Odds on Europa League Matchday 4 with our dream team. Ciao, Dani Fisichella. Hola, Alvaro Romeo. Let's analyze the best 8 games we have on Thursday, already 4th match day in this Europa League. So let's not waste any time, guys. Remember, leave your comments and support us. Just press the like and subscribe. And now let's go on with the show. And remember as well that we have an exclusive welcome offer with 1xBet. So if you are looking for a bookmaker to sign up, we have a welcome offer up to 130%. Check our promo code and the link in the description. Well, let's jump quick enough so we have more time to analyze these good games. We have on Thursday, Group A. Let's start with this. We have a very interesting West Ham Olympiakos, because this group is now much tighter since Olympiakos beat West Ham in Athens. Freiburg, they are topping the table, the group, with 6 points, and West Ham need at least a point. Alvaro, they are in really bad form, 4 defeats in the last 5 games. They also lost at the weekend against Brentford, whereas for Olympiakos, they are alive, even if they lost at the weekend also in the Greek league. That victory in Athens make them dangerous for this game.
Yes, that's for sure. But the way they lost against PAOK was not easy to swallow for Olympiakos in the weekend. By the way, they were losing by the 85th minute by 4-0 at home against PAOK. Basically, they're one of their major rivals, to the point that the fans left the ground before the game was finished. And, they scored 2 goals and they made up, or they put a little bit of makeup to that scoreline. But yeah, not the best moment to prepare, or not the best way, obviously, to prepare the game against West Ham United. When it comes to Olympiacos, they've got 4 points after playing 3 games, and now they've got trips to London and Freiburg in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be difficult because Olympiacos has played already more games at home than away, and now they've got like the difficult, on paper, half of the tournament for them. But on the other hand, they are unbeaten away this season. So, I guess that this is the positive thing we can take about Olympiacos. Olympiacos needs a win after a very poor start, that's for sure. West Ham United needs a win, but not so desperately. Even with a draw, obviously they'll be in a better place than Olympiacos. But West Ham, you were mentioning the loss or the defeat against Brentford, and they just let Brentford come back. It's true that Antonio missed a really easy chance. He took the ball off Benrahma, and West Ham United could have wrapped up the game with that action. But then it didn't happen, and Brentford came back. My point here is that West Ham United, they have become a dangerous side who lacks consistency, which inevitably makes them dangerous in cup tournaments. And the Europa League is no exception. I think that they have come to the conclusion that there is a faster route to happiness in Europe than domestically. In fact, Sevilla has been exploring that idea for almost 2 decades now with plenty of success. And look at their numbers. In the Premier League, they are not that great. They haven't been great. But on the other hand, they know that they are not going to be relegated because Luton Town, Sheffield United, Bournemouth, and the 4 teams that are at the bottom, they are pretty bad. And on the other hand, they are topping the group in the Europa League, and they are in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals because they've got very good footballers. They just don't lack consistency. They are dangerous in the short tournaments. Jarrod Bowen has been fantastic, and this guy is always there to play. He has missed only 2 Premier League games for West Ham in 4 years. And Mohamed Kudus. For me, Mohamed Kudus is the player of November so far, and late October for West Ham United. His performances have been fantastic, and his goal the other day against Brentford was phenomenal. I think West Ham United has better players. They take the cup seriously. The Europa League is a cup, so West Ham to win 167.
Even if the bookies place Brighton, for instance, more favorites than West Ham for this tournament, even Dani, as Alvaro was saying, West Ham already winner of the Conference Cup, they could be dangerous in this kind of tournaments. So do you also put your faith on West Ham?
Not entirely. I'm not entirely convinced West Ham could overcome Olympiakos. They were beat beaten convincingly in Greece. They conceded a lot of chances. Olympiakos had the better chances. They were the better team by far. And in the end, West Ham managed to get a goal back against Brentford. They defended really, really poorly, West Ham, allowed a lot of crosses. And basically, they got the basic wrong, especially if you go and play Brentford away. You can't allow all those crosses into the box. I think Areola is a fault for one of the goals. They didn't defend it particularly well. Yes, of course, they could have gone 3-1 up, but it's only 4 points out of 21 in the Premier League lately. Only one win in 6. That was the 3-1 against Arsenal, but there were a lot of changes. No clean sheets in the last 7. They do concede quite a lot. Only a 1 home clean sheet so far this season, 2-0 against Sheffield United. But yes, in Europe, they're doing well. 17 games undefeated before getting beaten at the Piraeus. So, you could say they are the better side. They come with a stronger pedigree, and they got obviously very good players. James Ward-Prowse created 11 scoring chances in the competition, 10 of which from dead ball situation is top of creating scoring chances alongside Birds, which I'm sure we're going to talk about it a little bit later. They're going to win, possibly, but I like the Asian handicap +1 for Olympiakos, 180. That means if they win by 1 goal margin, you get your money back. You still have the chance, if Olympiakos draws, to get a good price.
Well, if they want to top the group, it's very important as well for West Ham, not only to be in the next round. They have to win this game because Freiburg, they play at home against Baka Topola, so we expect the German side to win. Let's move on to Group B. Here we stop in Amsterdam. Ajax, Brighton, super favorite Brighton for this game, even if they are not in great form. 5 winless games in the Premier League, drew with Everton and Fulham in the last 2 games, and in this Europa League they also drew in the only game they played away. It was in Marseille. Dani, for Ajax, they are breathing, at least with the change of manager. 2 victories in the last week. They've eased a little bit the situation. Perhaps it's a good idea to go for a surprise here and back a little bit the home team.
Ajax cannot be as bad as they have been. Probably everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong with them, inside the pitch, outside the pitch, with the boardroom, with the manager who got sacked. Now Van Skip, former Greece manager, didn't do too badly there. And a former player knows the club, knows the philosophy, probably is a better fit for them. The wins are a little bit deceptive because the 4-1 against Herenveen, they suffered a bit. The 2-0 against Volendam, the second goal was scored late. They lost 5-2 to PSV, so they're still a little bit leaky. They're not totally comfortable, but maybe psychologically they might have turned the corner. And when it comes to Brighton, I think they're finding it hard this season to compete in 2 competitions, for sure. They are a little bit short in terms of squad. They are missing a few important players, Estupinian, March. So everything goes through Maitoma at the moment, the most creative player. And against Everton, they were a bit lucky. The goal was a lucky deflection from Young. They had the 79.8 possession, but just 7 shots. The good news is that Ajax is not going to sit back as deep as Sean Dyche Everton did. They're going to play a little bit more expansive because that's what they try and do. And that could favor Brighton or could favor the entertainment. But the defensive record of Brighton, it's concerning. They scored and conceded in the last 14 games in all competitions. So that 2-0 against Ajax is basically an odd result, but they only won 1 of the last 8, Brighton. So they do concede a lot of goals. Only 4 teams in the Premier League have conceded more than them. So can they keep doing that? Can they keep shipping goals and winning by 3-4 goals? It could be hard going forward. But this, I think, considering, yes, the approach that Ajax is going to have, not sitting back as deeper, and a little bit more confidence in the Dutch side, both to score and over 2.5 goals, 2.25.
All right, Alvaro, do you see these odds tempting to back Ajax? Is Ajax getting better and better because they cannot be worse than they've been so far this season?
Look, this game for me is pretty difficult. I wouldn't say it's a pass, but it's pretty difficult because both teams to score doesn't pay as much as I would like to. But anyway, what can we do about it? Daniele referred to Brighton and Hove Albion. They can afford conceding so many goals. Well, I don't know about that. I think that as long as they score one more than the opponent, it's fine. Last season,
but can they?
That's the thing. That's the thing. Dani Welbeck being out hasn't helped neither, and Enciso as well, apart from March and all the players they've got out. I think that they have had many problems because they've got not such a short squad, but they have had many injuries. But last season, for example, they scored 72 goals in the Premier League and they conceded 53, which is a lot. And yet they finished sixth. I think that the style of Brighton was always that. So them conceding is not what would worry me that much. It's them not scoring enough. But, in the reverse fixture, it happened something that we shouldn't take as granted. Brighton and Hove Albion beat Ajax, and probably was the most cosmopolitan ever win for Brighton in their own history, and the fans knew about it. For them, the Europa League has been an ego booster. I mean, the fans bought en masse scarves split it between two teams, Brighton and Ajax, because for the Brighton and Hove Albion supporters, the game was very special. They were playing against Ajax and they wanted to have a souvenir of the day. So let's put a little bit of perspective. It's not normal that Brighton beats Ajax, but at the same time, it tells you about the level of the Premier League and the level of the lower leagues. Maybe this starts becoming more and more common. When it comes to Ajax, there is a new spirit, yes, and that's why I'm going to back them somehow. With Brobbey, Bergwijn, and especially Akpom scoring the goals that Ajax needed just to push them out from the relegation. And when it comes to Brighton, Daniel said everything. I agree with him. It's a dangerous combo to be in two competitions, but I think that the Europa League has been an ego booster for Brighton and Hove Albion. I have no doubts about that, in the same way that the Conference League was an ego booster for West Ham United. And by the way, just very quickly, João Pedro has been called by Brazil. So good for him. I don't think that this player is that great. I think he's too individualistic, but still, congratulations. I'm going to back Ajax with an Asian handicap +1. 166. I think that maybe Brighton doesn't win easily here, or they just don't win at all. Or otherwise, an Asian handicap +0.75 for Ajax, 193. I like that one too. I think that I'm going to back Ajax with a positive handicap.
Interesting. We are seeing a lot of goals in this group. If Ajax win this one, it's going to be very tight because right now we have Brighton and AEK with 4 points, Marseille and Ajax, Marseille 5, Ajax 2, and the other game in this group, also very interesting and with really good odds, is AEK Marseille. Both teams to win is around 2.5, AEK to win around 2.9, Marseille to win. You mentioned already in this show, Alvaro, the great victory they had at the weekend against Olympiakos only 2 weeks ago.
That was PAOK. That was PAOK.
That was PAOK. Sorry. Yeah. They lost a couple of weeks ago in the Velodrome when they were down to 10 men. The next two games are at home for AEK in this competition, so they have a great chance to qualify.
They have a chance, yeah. And this group is interesting. We know about that. We knew it was going to be. And perhaps this game points me in the direction of goals. Why am I saying this? Number one, the previous fixture, Phoenix 3-1. So that was pretty promising for this game. Then Marseille has played 3 games, and their games have produced 14 goals. If you count their goals and the opponent's goals. So there has been an average of over 3 goals in Marseille's games in the Europa League. When it comes to AEK, 11 goals in 3 games, not scored, but in the scoreline. So they average almost 3 goals as well. So I think that I'm going to go for over 2.25 goals here. It pays 160. I mean, I could happily go to over 2.5, but normally I prefer the conservative bet and then top it up with an ACCA or a combination. Over 2.25 goals, 160. I like it. AEK has gone unbeaten in 5 home matches. They have played 17 games this season and they have scored in 15 of them. That's why, again, I'm going to the goals market here. And Olympique Marseille, they have scored a decent amount in the Europa League. I know that they have only managed 2 victories in 10 games, but the full-time market is not something that I have mentioned, even though I like the draw no bet for AEK because it pays 180. But I'm more than happy to stay with over 2.25 goals, 160.
Well, we've been seeing both teams to score in all 3 games for both sides in this competition. And this is 1.67. Still no great results for Gattuso, Dani,
No.
in Marseille's bench. They are 9th in the Ligue 1.
He inherited a very difficult situation with Marcelino leaving and Tudor leaving at the end of the summer. The shocking elimination from the Champions League at the hands of Panathinaikos. Drew 0-0 against Lille at the weekend. Chances at both ends, so it could have been above to score. Only lost one of the last 5. We have to say Olympique Marseille didn't play the game against Lyon because of the fans trouble that involved Fabio Grosso. They don't score many goals. That's the problem for Marseille. Only score 1 goal in 10 league games so far. Aubameyang, we know he scored more in the Europa League. He's 3 goals short of Falcao, who got the record of goal scorers. But that's probably the main issue with Olympique Marseille.
But in the Europa League, they have scored 8. That's pretty decent as well. I mean, one thing is France, the other thing is the Europa League.
That's true. Against better opposition, you would imagine 3 against Ajax when they were going through the rough patch. So and I think against Ajax they done okay in the previous game. They were the better side, and credit to them because Ajax it is a tricky opponent, I would say. Beat PAOK 2-0 at the weekend, then drew away. They do score as you mentioned as well. They are winless, however, Ajax in 13 home Europa League matches. That stretches to 2018. I don't know how much we can take that into account, but I think on the balance of how good Marseille have been recently and in the previous game, I'm going to go for Marseille as an handicap 0 here. I like it. 207. If they draw, you get your money back. If they win, you win.
Well, only Liverpool and Leverkusen had scored more goals in this competition. Marseille with 8 goals. They are top scorer together with Roma. Well, 3rd top scorer after Leverkusen and Liverpool. Well, let's jump into Group C. Here we are going to skip Betis, Aris, Limassol. Betis, if they win, they are going to have a big chance to top this group. And then we have a big fight between Rangers and Sparta Prague because Rangers, they are getting good results lately. They were able to grab a point in Prague, Dani, and if they win here, they will also have a great chance to qualify.
Sometimes when there are new managers coming in, we tend as a journalist to read a lot into it. I'll say, well, there is the new manager bounce, but it's undoubtedly that Rangers have been better since Paul Clement is on board. I mean, he had an effect. They are unbeaten in 6. They beat Hearts recently, reached the League Cup final. And even in Prague, that was the 2nd game in charge for Paul Clement, who's done really well when he was at Belgium, perhaps in Belgium with Bruges, perhaps less well with Monaco, but he's a very experienced manager. Even in Prague, as I mentioned, they had a few chances in the second half. The team seems more resilient, still a little bit wasteful in front of goal, could have scored more at the weekend. But they seem to have a stronger belief about themselves. And you would trust them to get a result now against Sparta Prague. Some of the players are in form. Tavernier is a fullback already in double figure. I know most of the goals have been scored in Scotland, but still, is a very good return. Do not underestimate the fact that Rangers, when they play at home, there is the Ibrox factor, which has carried them through to the Europa League final a couple of years ago and has helped them a lot. Rangers on the road have not been as good, but at Ibrox, they've been really, really good. Won 6 of the last 7 Europa League matches. Let's not consider last season Champions League when they were in a difficult group and they were outplayed. They beat Betis under the previous manager, and Betis is a good side. We saw it. Sparta Prague, on the other hand, lost 15 out of the last 18 away European games. And a little bit of a trivia for you, maybe if you want to go for the goal scorer market, Abdullah Sima now plays for Rangers, 6 goals in his last 12 games in Europe for Rangers and Slavia Prague, who are Sparta arch-rivals, played once in the league against Sparta in 2020, scored 2 goals against them. Why not going for Abdullah Sima, anytime goal scorer? But I'm going to go for a home win. Rangers win 2-12.
Okay, you trust them. The odds are very good indeed, 2.12. And after getting that draw in Prague, Alvaro, the obvious thing is backing Rangers at home.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I agree with Daniele. Rangers to win, 2-10. I like it. This is a must win. It's a must win for Glasgow Rangers because both sides have 4 points. Glasgow Rangers hasn't won a game in the Europa League since they beat Betis. Their numbers are not very impressive. 2 goals scored, 2 goals conceded. But we can be optimistic about a couple of things. Number one, Philippe Clement is unbeaten. And then Rangers will play 2 games at home in the second half of the group stage. Those are important things for them, definitely. I also believe in the home factor with Glasgow Rangers because the numbers are there. And at home, they are always much better than away, especially when they play in Europe. And when it comes to Sparta Prague, similar numbers in a way. They have scored 4, conceded 4, so their goal differential is 0 as well. But away from home, in Europe, they haven't been that impressive. Look, their last win in a group stage of the Europa League away from home came in 2020. And their last win in a group stage of the Champions League came in 2001 against Porto. So they haven't been a force away from home, that's for sure, especially when they reach the group stage. The qualifiers is a different story. I'm going to back Glasgow Rangers, really. I trust them. And I'm going to take some precautions here with an Asian handicap minus 0.25, which is in fact my preferred bet. Back in Rangers, of course, that pays 175.
Okay, you both trust Rangers after this game. They are playing Aris at home, so if they get the 6 points, they are going to be in the next round of this competition. Let's move on to next group, Group E. In this case, because in Group D, we have Atalanta, Sturm Graz, and Atalanta, they are super favorites for this game, and also Sporting Rakov Czestochowa, both are 1.3 to win. So let's try to find better odds in Group E. In this Toulouse, Liverpool, for instance, Liverpool to win is 1.5. The thing is that seeing them dropping points, Alvaro, in the Premier League against Luton Town with 9 points, I guess they will heavily rotate for this game, and Toulouse, they need the points to qualify, and also because they are in a bad position in Ligue 1. In Europa League, they have 4 points, same as Royal Union Saint-Gilloise.
Yeah, for me, the approach here is Liverpool's approach, basically. I think that if Liverpool has a good day, they're going to win this game. My bet, in fact, is Liverpool to win and over 1.5 goals in the game. That pays 162 because Liverpool has been scoring many goals in the Europa League. They beat Toulouse 5-1 in the previous game, and they were winning 3-1 by the halftime. Liverpool is a team, by the way, that lacks a bit of creativity versus a low block. We saw that against Luton the other day. They have problems to crack it, but I don't think that Toulouse will play like that because Toulouse needs to get points as well. I don't think they will defend as deep as Luton Town, definitely not. In a game that Szoboszlai found it very difficult, he was floating in between the strikers and the midfielders, and he was never comfortable. I think Szoboszlai needs a little bit of space and especially a panorama in front of him to decide what to do. He didn't have that against Luton Town. Trent Alexander-Arnold was the main progressive passing source for Liverpool with long balls to Darwin Núñez, but then Darwin Núñez was very wasteful. I mean, he missed many chances, one of them in the second half that he cannot miss. He has got 12 attempts in the Europa League already, which puts him as one of the strikers with more attempts in the competition, just after Ademola Lookman. And he tried to score in 1,000 ways against Kaminsky, and he couldn't because Darwin Núñez is about defying logic. He's a striker that doesn't do the easy things well. He does well the difficult things, but still, if he plays, I believe that he can be dangerous. And I think that Liverpool in the Europa League, they are not dreading to play in this competition. They are just using different players. They are still winning games. And when it comes to Toulouse, 2 wins in 13 games, they have conceded 6 already, which is quite a lot. I'm going to go all Liverpool here. Liverpool to win and over 1.5 goals, 162.
Well, it's very difficult to back Toulouse, Dani. 2 seasons ago, they were in Ligue 2. Last season, they won the cup. But this season, again, they've been pretty poor, close to the relegation spots. 3 consecutive defeats, 5 winless games. Impossible to trust them. And the odds for Liverpool to win, they are not that bad, actually.
An interesting club to lose, and the way they overhaul the club, the new ownership, which is Redbird, the same owners are Milan, and the recruitment based on data is very fascinating, of course. But they find this group really, really hard. And of course, the game against Liverpool is a step too far for them, perhaps too. Liverpool, by the way, only lost one game this season against Spurs in controversial circumstances, only kept 4 clean sheets. So they still have some fine tuning to do at the back. But against Liverpool, probably one of the worst performance since a very, very long time. They should have won. Darwin Núñez, well, they say about strikers, if you are in the good position, if you make the good runs, it's good. The goals will come. Well, we hope so, because Darwin Núñez at the moment, he couldn't hit water if he fall out of the boat. But it's there, and there is a lot of potential. His movements are really, really good. He needs to deliver. Strikers are judged on numbers, and he had 9 shots against Luton without scoring. That's an awful lot. There are going to be changes for Liverpool. Probably Endo is going to play this one, scoring the reverse fixtures. Perhaps the balance in midfield with Szoboszlai, McAllister and Gravenberch is not quite there. McAllister plays in front of the defense, and he seems that to restrict his influence a little bit. Brighton was playing a little bit further up on the pitch, so there's a bit of adjustment to do. But for this game, yeah, it should be all Liverpool. It should be simple enough for them. I mean, qualifying first and second in the Europa League matters, because if you qualify first, you skip to the round of 16 without a preliminary round. If you qualify second, you need to play the teams from the Champions League in an extra round between February and March. So obviously Liverpool, who are in contention to finish in the top 4, will want to avoid that and put the qualification to bed as early as possible. For me, it's a half-time, full-time result. Liverpool 2-15.
Okay, in this group, we have also LASK Royal Union Saint-Gilloise. If you are going for the Belgian team, is 2.1.
Union is flying. Union are flying. Won at the weekend against Bruges 2-1. Check the goal from Amoura. A bicycle kick. Really, really good.
Well, 4 points, same as Toulouse. So they will fight for the second spot in this Group E. In Group F, this time we have Maccabi Haifa, Villarreal, both with 1 game in hand because they couldn't play a couple of weeks ago, and Rennes, Panathinaikos. Rennes, they lost Rennes, they beat Panathinaikos 2-1 a couple of weeks ago, but they are in a very bad moment also in league and winless in 4. Usually when they are playing at home, not this season, but usually they are strong in Rothon Park. Dani, if they beat Panathinaikos in Athens, I guess they should win here in the French Brittany.
But they should, because their European record is good. They are unbeaten in the last 10 home European games. Panathinaikos are winless in 14 away European games, and that tells you the story. Rennes, a bit disappointing. Mid-table, lost 2-0 to Nice. Only 1 win in the last 6, which was the game in Greece. No clean sheet in the last 7 for Rennes. Energetic team, tends to press high, recovers the ball closer to the opposition box, had 6 shots after receiving the ball in attacking position in the Europa League. Only Liverpool, Bayer Leverkusen and AEK had more, so they tend to push the line quite high. And Panathinaikos, on the other hand, top of the Greek league, averaged 3 goals per game domestically, but failed to score against Maccabi Haifa when they travel away from home. So you need to take those numbers with a pinch of salt. But if you look at Panathinaikos in Europe this season, score at Dnipro, score in Marseille, scored in Braga in the Champions League preliminary stages. So they do score goals away from home. You know, the difficulty was increasing. Can they score in runs? I think they can. I'm going to go for both to score here. 193. They do have good players. Panathinaikos, Juric used to play in Serie A. Vilena used to play in Serie A as well. Sporar doing well with Slovenia in the Euro qualifiers. They might qualify for the Euro. So, yeah, I think both to score. 193 considering the poor defensive record of Rennes.
Okay, Alvaro, do you think as well that Panathinaikos can sneak a goal and put a fight perhaps against Rennes?
Yeah, again, but both teams to score is the value is brilliant, but maybe it's too much for me. I prefer over 2.25 goals. Don't ask me why. I think that 2 goals or more will happen, but I couldn't put my hand on the fire that both teams are going to score. That pays 160, obviously, a little bit less. This is definitely a good thermometer to measure a French team having a bank average season domestically against the Greek leader. this is a chance for Rennes to get 9 points, that's for sure. They are 5 points better than Panathinaikos, and Rennes started the season well, but they are in a bad run now. Still, I think that they've got enough to score goals here. And Panathinaikos' performance in the Europa League, results-wise, has been a story of decline. They won the first game, they drew the second, they lost to Rennes. They are in a good run, generally speaking, especially domestically, because they topped the Super League with 25 points. But I'm going to follow a very quick logic here. In the Europa League, we have an exact average of 3 goals per game. It has happened, exact 3.0. So I think that this game can be over 2.25 goals, 160.
Goals, you both agree that we will see goals in the French Brittany, in Rennes. Well, let's move on to Group G. Here we have Slavia Prague, Roma. Our safe bet last week or 2 weeks ago was Roma to win, and indeed they beat Slavia, but we suffered a little bit more, Dani, for your safe bet at the weekend.
Never in doubt.
In the Serie A, because it was Roma to win against Lecce, and they did it, but in the very, very last minute. Yes. Let's see. They have a perfect record so far, Roma, in this Europa League, but this is the toughest game. They've almost qualified, Dani. Perhaps they relax. We know that Roma away from home in Europe, they suffer. Perhaps it's not a bad idea going here for Slavia Prague double chance.
It could be, but the win for Roma is very important to secure the top finish and that all the consequences on the calendar. Look, against Lecce, Roma season at the 90th minute domestically was pretty much over. I think had they lost that game, the chances to finish in the top 4 would have reduced dramatically. And now with the derby looming on Sunday, yeah, it would have been a really difficult year, but it turned. Mourinho made 4 changes, finished with 4 attackers in the pitch. Zalewski finally crossed the ball, and Azmoun found the first goal of his campaign, and then Dybala took the ball in the middle of the field, drive through, ball to Lukaku. Lukaku pins down his marker, and with strength, with power, makes the 2-1. Was the worst player on the pitch, but until then Lukaku also missed the penalty. So the season completely changed. It was a really Mourinho style of win, Mourinho finish, very desperate with a lot of drama, but credit to him for making a lot of changes. There's been a lot of speculation about Mourinho and the way Roma plays. I think they got a very distinctive way of playing against stronger oppositions, especially when they got a few injuries and players missing, as they did against Inter. They basically don't go for it. They play too defensive, and in the end they get beaten. But against the weaker sides, when they know they need to attack, they can do it. They are really clinical. And in the Europa League, they've been very, very good, because most of the times they played sides that are weaker than them, and Roma can impose themselves. Lukaku is having a good effect, 12 goals in all competition. That's as many as the entire Lazio squad in Serie A. And with Dybala, is a different team. It's undoubtedly. I mean, if they can keep him fit for the 70-80% of the season, they will be all right. They could finish in the top 4. They could reach the semifinals, I think, of the Europa League, depending on the draw. Scoring 13 out of 14 games so far, only drew a blank against Inter, which is understandable. 5 group stages win in a row, scoring at least 2 goals in the Europa League. Slavia Prague lost at home to Victoria Pilsen. Sparta Prague are now ahead of them. Mourinho, away from home in Europe, can do a typical Mourinhata, under 2.5 goals. Might be a low-scoring game, but I think Roma could edge it.
Well, it was a low-scoring game also, Sheriff Tiraspol Roma. Alvaro, what is your vision on this one? Your view?
My vision is that every season the same thing happens with Jose Mourinho. I mean, whenever the game looks winnable, and especially if they play at home, he lets their players express themselves a bit more and attack. But as soon as they play against big opposition, they defend a lot. And if they are in the final stages of a European competition knockouts, he will go for the 0-0 away from home or even at home, and he will make sure that the game decides in small margins. It's always like this. But this is the moment in which Roma doesn't mind attacking more than they will attack in April 2024. You will see that. This is the clash between the first and the second of the group again. And the first one was won by Roma. I think that in the first game, the game plan of the manager plus the quality of the players made the difference. And Roma has better players and a better manager. So I don't see them losing here. That's why I like, for example, the draw no bet 175, because Roma normally with Mourinho doesn't lose these kind of games, with exceptions like Bodo Glimt and so on. Roma has conceded 1 goal in the tournament. They have the best record in the Europa League so far. So yeah, draw no bet for Roma. I like it. 175. Even an Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Roma. 211. If they draw, you suffer half a lose only. If they win, you win 211. I like it a lot. And when it comes to Romelu Lukaku, from all the games that we are analyzing here, the only game in which I could go for the individual market, but wait, obviously, until the lineup is ready, it will be Lukaku to score. I think that Lukaku is made for Roma. He's delivering. He's a player that I think that his numbers are there, and he's unquestionably very good for this Europa League. So Lukaku to score 2.6. He has scored 3 goals in the Europa League already, and he has scored in 14 Europa League appearances, which is crazy.
Well, 9 points, perfect record so far for Roma. Probably Slavia Prague also will go through, because Servette and Sheriff, they have only 1 point each. Sheriff playing away in Switzerland, and Servette, they are so favorites for this game, 1.8. And last group is Group H, also a perfect record for Bayer Leverkusen, one of the best teams in Europe so far. 9 points, 11 goals scored. They've already beat Qarabag a couple of weeks ago. Now it's time to travel to Azerbaijan, and if we still trust Leverkusen to keep a perfect record and win there, is 1.5. And the last 5 games, Alvaro, for Leverkusen was Leverkusen to win, obviously, and both teams to score could be a good option for this game as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, number one, let me tell you that Leverkusen to win is going to be in Mallorca. I like that option that you mentioned, Edu. I also like, and this is a personal favorite maybe, Leverkusen to win and over 1.5 goals in the game, 160. I think that is about right. Even Leverkusen to win and over 2.5 goals. I don't think that it will have a big element of risk, and that will pay 183. So I will be more than happy with that. I'm going to apply the same approach here I applied to Toulouse Liverpool. I think that it's all about Bayer Leverkusen, in the same way that the game against Toulouse is all about Liverpool. If Leverkusen is having a good day, if they go at it in this game, I think that they are going to win it. Let's don't forget, though, that Qarabag had 2 clean sheets in the tournament, and that has to be said, okay? And they are playing at home, too. But,
Molde and Haken, we have to say that these are the other 2 teams in this group.
That was a very important comment as well. Yeah, it's a very important remark. I mean, it was against Molde and against Haken. But then when they played against Leverkusen, they lost 5-1 in the reverse fixture. Leverkusen, very quickly, they are the best team in the tournament by numbers. 9 points, +1 in the goal difference. +9 in the goal difference. And they have scored 11 goals. They are the most prolific side. And also they've got the biggest passing accuracy, which for a team that is not defined around very technical midfielders, in my opinion. They are defined about with fast forward footballers. Having such a good passing accuracy is great. I mean, good job by the players and Xabi Alonso especially. Leverkusen are unbeaten in 15 games in all competitions so far, and they have scored a total of 54 goals in that time, which is almost an average of 4 goals per game. It's pretty incredible, really. So I'm going to back Leverkusen, and I'm going to say something. In the last 6 or 7 years, we have had some teams that they have excelled expectations, and they have become like cult teams in Europe. One of them being Leicester City in 2016, but the other ones, in my opinion, are Villarreal, Europa League winner in 2021, Girona right now topping La Liga, Brighton and Hove Albion doing what they did last season in the Premier League, and Atalanta in Italy. What is the common thing between them? The common thing is that none of these teams are negative. None of these teams are defensive minded. So this is a message for everyone. Maybe you have to believe and you have to attack, and the results will come. So I love all the sides that I mentioned, and I really like Bayer Leverkusen. They are doing such a fantastic season.
Leverkusen, they were also a cult team back in 2002 when they reached the Champions League final. Now they are living a dream. Only 1 year ago, they were very close to the relegation spots in the Bundesliga. The problem, Dani, to back fully here Leverkusen is that they can afford a draw. Actually, it would be a good result as well, almost to secure the first spot in this group.
And Qarabag is not a very easy place to go. They're unbeaten in 13 home games in Europe. Not very simple to go there and snatch a win or convincingly. They're going to put up a fight, but in the reverse fixture, Leverkusen were so good and so dominant that it's difficult not to think they're going to at least score a couple. And the fascinating things about Leverkusen, apart from all the goals they score, is that they score 11 goals in the Europa League with 8 different players. It's not just Boniface who scored, it's not just Wirtz who is in great form and scored at the weekend, but Frimpong, Grimaldo, they are also contributing. So it's a really, really good collective to watch. I mean, only drew one game, the rest are wins. Wirtz, we mentioned, is going to be the next big move in the transfer market from the Bundesliga, probably to the Premier League. You know, there are a lot of teams that have put eyes on him, and obviously because he's been really, really good after he overcome his injuries last season. They scored at least 2 goals in order 15 competitive fixtures in 2023-2024. 30 Bundesliga goals is a new record after 10 match days. But as I said, Qarabag might be a tough nut to crack, especially initially. I'm going to go for over 3 goals here. 176, which, you know, if it's only 3 goals, you get your money back.
Okay, Dani Fisichella Alvaro Romeo, tell me your safe bets, Alvaro.
Betis to win, 133.
Dani?
Very similar. I'm going to go one better. Betis has an handicap -1 against Aris Limassol, 149.
And at the Benito Villamarín, they are getting really good results this season, both in La Liga and in Europe. And Dani, Yoraka?
Ajax against Brighton, over 2.5 goals. Union Saint-Gilloise, Asian handicap 0 as they play Lask away. Sturm Graz, Asian handicap +2 as they go to Bergamo against Atalanta. Rangers, Asian handicap 0. Total odds 6.
It was curious. We commented that Sturm Graz, Atalanta, and Atalanta fans, Dani, went to Ilici's
Yes,
house
Slovenia.
in
Yes,
Slovenia because he's having some issues, health issues. To support him, one of the stars of the team is a nice story, by the way, from Atalanta Tifosi. Alvaro, Yoraka?
Mayaka, it's Asian handicap -1 for Betis. Leverkusen to win. Asian handicap +0.25 for Roma. Liverpool to win and over 1.5 goals in that game against Toulouse. Altogether, 5.28.
Okay, you haven't put Haken Molde or Servet Sheriff, for instance.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
No.
Okay. But if someone is interested, they are playing these 2 great games as well on Thursday. Well, Alvaro, Dani Fisichella, thanks for your tips. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye.